What's up, you big, beautiful Madridistas? Kian Sobani here, recording this shortly after Real Madrid get the job done with 3 goals from Kylian freaking Mbappé away to Valladolid. But first, hey Jude, an assist today. I think I counted it as an assist. I didn't check the tally. I'll have to check that in a second. But either way, he set up Mbappe. Hey Jude shirts. These are the best shirts that Finn has designed so far. They'll be available for sale until February 1st, and then they'll disappear forever. Hey Jude, if you want to get yours, the link is in the comments. The link will be in the show notes. And with that out of the way, let's do it. Post-game show. Valladolid 0. Real Madrid 3. Let's get started.
Nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest, and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First-rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
We got a lot to break down in Real Madrid's 3-0 win away to Valladolid. Welcome to the Managing Madrid podcast. Welcome to those who are live on YouTube with us. And welcome to everyone who is listening to this or watching this while they're cooking or while they're commuting tomorrow morning. Whatever you're doing, welcome. Hope you got a nice beverage in your hand. I got the unnecessary coffee at this time of night. I should not be drinking coffee, but I am, and I got my Hey Jude mug. But first, shout out to our presenting sponsors, Emoji Mates. So here's what I want you guys to do right now, because who is the man of the hour? Kylian Mbappe is the man of the hour. If you head on over to moji-mates.com, our friends over at Emoji Mates have a bunch of shirts. But what you want to do tonight to honor the arrival of Kylian Mbappe, although you could argue he's been pretty great for a few games now, and he looks lights out. Go to moji-mates.com. There's a section called Kylian Mbappe when you scroll on the players, and you'll see a bunch of Mbappe stuff. Shirts, shorts, stickers for your car, stuff for your baby or your niece or your nephew. Go to moji-mates.com and get yourself some Mbappe swag, because he deserves it. And you deserve it. You deserve it. Also want to give a shout out to our presenting sponsor, tacsports.ca. Our friends over on TAFC Academy, who host us once a year at their beautiful facilities. You got March break camps coming up, soccer camps, basketball camps, swimming camps. So if you want to sign up your kids and make sure they have a productive March break, go to tacsports.ca if you're in Toronto, and they will take care of you. All right, guys. I want to say this to start. This is the version of Kylian Mbappe that I was terrified of when he was with PSG and we were facing him. You remember that Kylian Mbappe, that famous tie where PSG melted down in the second half and Benzema scored 2 goals and Modric cooked PSG and then slide tackled Lionel Messi's soul at the Bernabeu and everyone went crazy. That game, Alaba in the chair, iconic. Mbappe tortured us in those 2 games, if you remember. Obviously scored the goal in Paris. Remember, had that incredible non-goal where he does a step over around Courtois, misses the chance. And then he scored when he was just destroying Carvajal in the second leg. You think about World Cup final, Kylian Mbappe. I may not go as far as to say that this is the World Cup final, Kylian Mbappe, but certainly this version of Mbappe is incredible. I'm really happy for him. I may have shed a tear when he scored the hat-trick because I was just really happy for him. You think about how difficult this season has been so far for him. Clearly going through some mental stuff. And I'm not of the believer of you can't feel bad for filthy rich people. I think they have the same mental health problems as us. Although, look, they have different problems than us, but they are also vulnerable to just bad patches. And he went through a bad patch. And I don't know about you guys watching this, but me personally, and this is purely key on the fan speaking, when we signed Kylian Mbappe, I was so excited. So excited to have signed a player who is generational, who can put the ball in the back of the net prolifically, who can be a problem solver, who can potentially link up with Vinicius and lay devastation to opponents. And I don't believe we've seen the full synergy between those two yet. That's something that's we need to work on still. I was excited to sign a player that in games like this where Vinicius can't play, you still have the offensive Armageddon of a Ballon d'Or level player who can just occupy the left wing, drift centrally, and just cook. And even through his bad patch, as you guys know, I went out on a limb, and I don't even think it was that bold of me, and it still may not come true, although I'm still sticking with it. 40 goals, 40 goals. Wait for it. Bad patch, 40 goals, 40 goals. Come back to it on record, 40 goals, 40 goals. He missed a penalty in San Mamés, 40 goals. He missed a penalty at Anfield, 40 goals, 40 goals, 40 goals. Book it, come back to it. And he's looking great right now. 40 goals or not, whether he ends up with 30, 35, 40, or 100, not the point. He looks great. You just needed to be patient with him. And I'm so happy for him to be playing this way and playing this well. Just onto, some of the tactical side of this, because Valladolid, surprise, surprise, are not a good team. I think they gave us some problems in the sense that initially they actually did press high and we struggled with our build-up, especially on the right side of the field for a couple sequences there. But for the majority of the game, Real Valladolid were in a deep block. They were closing channels, right? So anytime like Dani Ceballos would get the ball or Fede Valverde would get the ball, they would look up and they would try to get the ball to the front three, Rodrigo, Mbappe, and Jude. And those three were actually trying to occupy good zones. But Valladolid did a good job of tracking them and just sending bodies and making sure that the channels are all clogged centrally. And so when Ceballos and Fede had the ball, they had basically two options. Get the ball out wide to Fran or Asencio, or try to feed the ball into a very congested channel in front of them where Rodrigo or Vinny and Jude would occupy. And to break that low block, you needed one of those front three to kind of turn and break lines. You needed line breakers in this game. And I think, and in the first, let's say 20 minutes or so, I think we needed to get the ball to Mbappe more and let him just cook up some kind of individual brilliance and let him break lines and come up with some ingenuity. And I didn't think we had done that enough up until that point. And just as I was about to tweet that, Mbappe gets to the ball in the left half space, give and go, pass and move with Jude Bellingham, and then scores. And it's just night and day confidence right now, not only of Mbappe himself, but also I think just the collective confidence that we have in him and just wanting him to get the ball and wanting to get him to cook. I remember there were times in October, November, around that timeline, where when he would get the ball in his ideal position, on the wing, in stride, attacking a wingback, a lot of us just didn't feel confident in him doing that because of the state he was in mentally at that time. But now we want him to get the ball every single touch. The more touches you can get him, the more you increase your team's chances of coming up with some genius offensively. Valladolid were pretty much unfazed in their defense all of that first half. The times they did buckle, it was because Mbappe would get them to shift around with his genius. The moments of genius included, if we were to kind of put it into words, Mbappe was very quick with his change of pace, with his dribbling, both on and off the ball, pass and move sequences, vertical play, and just explosiveness and dribbling. Those are the stuff that he brings to the table at not just a good level, but elite world-class level. So it was just so amazing to see him play like that. It's fun to watch him play like that. And I thought, I'm sure he won man of the match. I didn't stick around for the final whistle. I just assumed he did. But he was clearly the best player on the field today. And it was just great to see him in that kind of zone. There's two things I'd like to point out about him as well. We're 10 minutes in, we've only spoken about this one player. Because to be quite honest with you, this was a boring 3-0 win, and I'm totally okay with that. I don't care. I don't need to be excited on a Saturday afternoon. What I need is for Real Madrid to get a W and make sure they stay top of the table. So I'm totally okay with a boring game and an Mbappé hat trick and a W. I'm okay with it. I'm at peace with that. I didn't need this to be a goal festival more than it was, or to have this like prolific series of events. We got 3 goals and we killed off the game with control and possession and knocking the ball around when we needed to. Valladolid barely threatened us. Totally okay with that. So just 2 more points on Mbappe before we move on to the rest of the stuff. The last couple of games, he's been good at a couple other things other than scoring and line breaking and incisiveness and all that stuff and confidence. His hold-up play has been good and his pressing has been good. So it's been nice to see him. Body language, everything has been better. And just on the note of the goals he scored, I actually thought the second goal, I wasn't sure if Rodrigo actually timed his pass to Mbappe properly in real time, because I was like, oh, maybe he should have waited a split second longer to just kind of suck the defender in and then release Mbappe with more space. And so when Mbappe gets the ball in the angle he gets it at for the second goal, it actually wasn't the best angle to score from, but he still scored it anyway. And that's what peak Mbappe gets you. All right, enough. 11 minutes in, we haven't talked about anything except for this guy. I'm just super happy for him. Damn, my coffee got cold in those 10 minutes. Holy shit, chat is popping off. It always is. Okay, I'll get to your super chats in a second. Or you know what? I'll do super chats as they come, because I might say things that I often say things in the super chat. We'll ask about that, and then it feels repetitive. So why don't we do that? From now on, new rule on the spot. Managing Madrid podcast history. New rule on the spot. Super chats will be dealt with immediately, because I love you guys. Ancorgiotti Bordaloy, our YouTube member, says Keon predicted 40 Mbappe goals, 18 more to go. Is that really all he has left to go? Yeah. He's at 22 goals? Am I mathing correctly? Kylian Mbappe is at 22 goals already? Are we sure? So you're telling me he was at 19? Can we fact check this? Fact check this, please. Anyway, we'll stick with the 40. Mohammed says, Forza Barca tomorrow. Sorry, bigger beef with Valencia. Mohammed, we all share your beef with Valencia. Never, ever, never say those words again on this podcast. He is at 22 goals. Oh my God. 15 in the league. 1 in the cup. 3 in the Champions League. And then and then 3 goals in the category of other, which I'm assuming is Intercontinental Cup or something, or Super Cup, which happened in the preseason. Interesting. Wow. So yeah, he's at 22 goals. That's incredible. After such a slow start. Mr. Sushi 22 says Barca draw, an Athletic win. We'll see. So back to the game. Barca plays Valencia tomorrow at home, by the way, Mr. Sushi. If they were playing at the Mestalla, I would I'd be a little bit more confident. I'd still expect Barca to lose. Barca to win. But at home, I mean, can we really trust Valencia to take 2 points off of Barca? I don't know. And Mr. Sushi, maybe you're referring to Atletico, who drew today. I don't know, or maybe it's Athletic tomorrow. I don't know. Either way, we'll see what happens. But I'm not holding out hope on that. We just got to keep doing our job, get the W's, get the W's, get the W's, and control what we can control. So the rest of the stuff I'm going to splurt out today on the post game podcast is going to be just completely in random order and wherever I feel like taking it. Okay. I wanted to talk about Raul Asencio, who obviously got a start at right back. He's starting to start some more games now, which is nice to see. In my opinion, completely deserved because he looks great. And even the couple mistakes he makes here and there, I'm totally okay with because he's just a young player and everyone's making mistakes. Even the experienced older players are making mistakes. Raul Asensio looks great. I'm happy for him. He deserves to start. Starts at right back today, right? I mean, this is a thing that a lot of people push. And I personally was a little bit confused as to where it was coming from. Like, why is everyone asking Raul Asensio to play right back? Because we haven't really seen it before. Maybe we've seen like a 10-second sample size. I didn't really get the idea. I mean, I got the idea in the sense that you're looking for solutions outside of Lucas Vazquez, which in my opinion should come from Lorenzo and Jesus Forte. But nevertheless, we got Fede Valverde starting at right back last game, and then we got Raul Asensio starting at right back today. Fede takes more of his normal midfield role, and then we got Tchouameni and Rudiger at center back. It's probably a matter of time that David Alaba just gets back to a starting role, and we see Raul Asensio just come off the bench. That's my prediction on what's going to happen. So Raul Asensio plays right back. I thought he was great again. He locked down Cilia, which, to be fair, is not the hardest task. I mean, he was terrible for Valladolid today. They were basically just fed up with him all game. But he locked down Cilia for what it's worth, and just gets the job done, man. He is covering well for the wingers. He is locking down the wingers. He was locking down the winger that was attacking him today. Great job sprinting over to prevent. Like, there was one time where a Rudiger, he makes a bit of a gamble, and Asencio just covers behind him and just kind of putting out fires. Not that he had too many fires to put out because, again, Valladolid did not threaten us at all, but he looked great. Fantastic defense as usual. He had one kind of run in the 15th minute where he gets fouled. Good burst of speed. Wondering, like, can he be a good ball carrier from that position if he kind of develops? He's definitely press resistant. He can evade pressure. He's got good long range passing. He's also just intimidating to play against because he goes in hard. Like, he's got that Sergio Ramos kind of like just goes in, no nonsense approach. One time he got beat, and that was by Andre, the Valladolid center forward, in the second half, but nothing came out of it. And looks great again. So I just want to point that out. Offensively, like, if you're looking for a right back who's going to do damage, he's not going to be your guy probably. He had one opportunity to cut it back into the box, and he gave it away. And then he had one shot in this 37th minute where he just skies it. Again, we don't expect him to do that stuff, but from a defensive standpoint, he looks great again. So Raul Asensio, solid. We got a super chat that came in. We got 3 super chats that have come in. HM, I think this is Howard. If it is Howard, what's up, man? Good to see you. A hat trick against the likes of Real Valladolid isn't the same thing against Liverpool, Barca, City, Atletico, or even Bayern Munich. Of course, there's no debating that, but you have to count these games as just confidence boosters. Like, let's be honest, the last 3 games, Valladolid, Salzburg, and Las Palmas, they have been against 3 weak opponents. Like, we can all admit that, right? But I always say, like, you take what's in front of you. You want these games, these performances to come against elite opposition. You're right to point that out. But sometimes you just need a break in the schedule, man. Sometimes you just need these games and these moments in the schedule to regain confidence, stat pad a little. It's okay. And for what it's worth, Mbappé did look good in that bloodbath loss against Barca. Not a trophy that we're going to celebrate, obviously, because that's not what we do. But Mbappe's getting going, and you just have to be okay with beating up on these smaller teams because you count it as confidence-boosting games, confidence-boosting wins, and just making sure you stay at the top of the table. Proof. Proof says, just glad to see our club doing well when it starts to matter the most. Also, thank you for the content, Keon. I love tuning into these. Thank you, man. I'm just incredibly grateful that I can just log on after a game and just talk on YouTube and Spotify and Apple, and that is just a thing I can do, and people hear and listen to me. It's a miracle, to be honest. It's a miracle that I grew up in this era. If I was like 20 years older, I would never have been able to do this. So I'm just thankful for like being able to do this, and I'm really thankful for you guys for just tuning in and supporting the show. So thank you, Proof. Um, Timmy B says, "Hola, remember my Asencio right back take? Convinced yet?" I don't know what your right back take was. I don't know. But if it was of him playing right back, he can obviously do it. As I pointed out, he's not going to be an offensive juggernaut, but he could be a stopgap at that right back position. Is he the right back solution long term? Definitely not. Is he someone who can play there in a pickle? I'm in on that. Mr. Sushi says that harsh guy should be banned from this community in this chat. Hoping Yamal gets racially abused because Barca fans did it to Vinny. Call that motherfucker out, Keon. I did not know that this was happening, bro. I don't check the chat. If you guys can do me a favor, because the chat is just so crazy, I can't read the chat while I'm doing a podcast. It would ruin your podcast experience, because then I would not be concentrated on just trying to get out the content, the analysis. If you can do me a favor, because obviously we don't have like a moderator in real time, if you guys can just go report those comments, and I think that helps. You guys go report those comments, and I think the user get put in a timeout or something. But since you pointed it out, I'll go and do it really quick. Again, I don't want to do this on air because I don't think it's going to be good for your listening experience. But I just did it for you, okay? Yeah, please report it. Okay, so back to content, back to podcasting. I don't know if what you guys thought of Rudiger's performance. I liked it with one concern. He has that thing on his left knee because he has left knee pain. And I actually thought he looked good today. I thought his passing could have been better. There were a couple times where Rodrigo was clear on a break, and if Rudiger plays the right pass, Rodrigo would have been gone. Rodrigo actually made a few good off-ball runs in this game, and he didn't get it. We looked him off, or we couldn't get the ball to him accurately. But I thought so his passing could have been better. He took that really nice long-distance shot that just dips, and the keeper saves it. It's a corner kick. He had that one shot, quote-unquote shot in the 29th minute, which was one of the worst shots ever, but it turned out to be just a brilliant pass by accident to Bellingham in the box. There was one sequence in the 54th minute where he dabbled on the ball a little bit too long unnecessarily, and then he had to kick it out of bounds because he just had no time to deal with it. And Ancelotti's really frustrated with him. Other than that, looked good defensively. What worried me was that, like, you could see in the 20th minute, if you go back and rewind it, if you're nerdy enough, and if you're not nerdy enough, please don't do this. Go out and enjoy your Saturday night. But in the 20th minute, he looked a little slow, and he looked like he was limping a little bit. So I just thought if he has knee pain and he's wearing this thing on his left knee, just maybe not risk it next game. Maybe just let Alaba, Asencio, Tchouaméni, whatever combination, just take care of business. Just a thought. Rodrigo, I thought could have been more active, but he didn't really need to be, and he was involved in both goals. Obviously set up Mbappé for the second goal, and then in the first goal, he had a nice line-breaking sequence, and then the ball eventually falls to Jude, who finds Mbappé, and Mbappé scores. Brahim, pretty quiet, not his best. But again, just because Mbappé stepped up and then there were just other good things happening and we killed the game off with control, it wasn't a huge deal. So yeah, Tchouaméni was fine today. Again, good coverage along with Asencio to shut down Cilia. I thought this wasn't Bellingham's best game, but maybe he just looked tired. He did work hard defensively, set up Mbappé for the first goal. I need to confirm. Did he get the assist? Who scored shows that he has an assist. So I hope that La Liga officially registers as an assist. Some people thought that it might not because the ball kind of bounced around before falling to Mbappe. I just think it's ridiculous if that is even a thing. The player who set up the goal should get the assist. End of discussion. I'm glad it's counted on who scored. I think it's going to count as an assist. And if it does, that's already his 10th assist of the season. So not bad for a striker. Not bad for a striker. Let's check Carlo's post-game quotes. We'll look at Understat, check the XG, see what Mark Statspot is saying. And then, honestly, just wrap it up because this was a pretty straightforward one to discuss. Any super chats? One super chat while I do that. Nishler says, apparently Rudiger has premature osteoarthritis in that knee. Didn't know that, and I'm terrified now. Yeah, I don't know. Just something to monitor. And, obviously luckily it didn't become an issue after all this time. And quite frankly, I think it's a bit of a miracle that his leg is even working. Because if you think about it, the guy has been played into the ground. Like, he is just playing nonstop and has been playing nonstop for like 2 years straight. Plus the Euros, because we've had no defenders healthy. It's just a miracle that's all he has, to be quite honest. So just now that we have Asencio and Alaba's coming back, just, Carlo, please just keep an eye on that. That's all I'm saying. That's all. That's the only thing I'll say. As you know, I always say I'm underqualified to talk about fitness and all that stuff and medical stuff. Just, Carlo, please keep an eye on this one. Just don't overwork it if he doesn't need to. Has Carlo taken the podium yet? I don't think so. Yes, he has. Press conference. Oh, yeah. Away coach speaks first. Sorry, I'm not reading these out loud. I'm skimming them, and just if there's anything I think worthy of speaking about on the podcast, I'll mention it. Raul Asencio has done his job. He's not used to playing at right back, but he's shown that he's fast. He had a good game. Like Chouameni at center back, it's nothing new. Little by little, Alaba is starting to play more minutes, and he's very close to his first start. Ancelotti did also say, I think it was yesterday in the pregame, that Alaba will start anytime Alaba basically says, I'm ready to start. So that's why I also said at the beginning of the podcast, I think it's a matter of time Asencio goes back to the bench. It was for that reason. So, nothing from Understat yet. That spot. All right. So I'll just share my screen, and this might be the last thing we'll do together. And we'll call it a night. I did want to mention you guys. You guys know that I've had a few viral things recently. One is my take on Bellingham versus Pedri. I think it's ridiculous, and I outline why in the tweet. And another clip I had that went viral recently was that I picked Modric over Xavi, Bellingham over Pedri, Benzema versus, over Suarez, and Casillas versus Buffon. This is something that I've realized, and I've kind of leaned into intentionally the last little bit, because something that I've realized is that the things that go viral the most are the things that 50% of the population will disagree on. So if you make content as a Real Madrid page that Kool-Aids will just pull their hairs out over and just, it will invoke rage in them, it'll go viral really quick. Because what happens is Madridistas obviously like the hell out of it, and they see it first because it's a Real Madrid page. And then the Kool-Aids come in the comments, and there's just fights in the comments. Fight. I don't like fighting. I don't encourage it, but I'm also not afraid of conflict. And all I will say is that if you go on the Managing Madrid Instagram page and you look at that clip, which is like a few days ago, you can just feel free to partake in the battle against the Kool-Aids. That's all I'll say. So Mark Statspot, here it is on the screen. Pretty comfortable. Valladolid XG 0.15 versus 2.3. Expected threat in our favor, 1.62. Possession heavily in our favor, almost 70%. Field tilt heavily in our favor, which is something I look at often more than XG, 76% in our favor. And again, pretty straightforward. Dani Ceballos, who we didn't talk about much, the best ball progressor in the team, as you can see. And he's been great. This is not necessarily the game to highlight as like the Ceballos game of the season because he's been really good all season. And I think last game was the one that stood out to me, and we already had some monologues about Dani Ceballos, but I think Dani Ceballos has to start for his defensive intensity and his ball progression and his energy and his verticality. So, yeah. Nice to see Ancelotti continually giving minutes to Lorenzo off the bench, Arda off the bench. I think Endrick got in, right? Did Endrick get in? I was kind of preparing the stream for the podcast. Yeah, he came in the 91st minute. Okay, so he didn't really come in. 91st minute, he's not going to do anything. But yeah, this is obviously the side benefit of winning comfortably and racking up goals is that Ancelotti does become more emboldened to bring players off the bench and kind of give some playing time to these kids. So yeah, that's it. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. We will be back. I don't know. I think Monday. Oh, Monday for sure. Leah and I recording Monday. Tuesday, I got a special guest coming in. I don't want to spoil it until it happens. Special guest on Tuesday. That'll be for free. And then Angelo is coming back on Friday. Angelo's been away for a couple months, just being Angelo, doing superstar shit, doing boxing fights, and like this guy is on another level. So Angelo will be back on Friday. Leah will be back on Monday. And we got a ton of content. If you guys like the content, you want to support the show and I get a ton of bonus content, patreon.com/managingmadrid, or simply hit join on the memberships tab on this YouTube channel. You'll see it underneath this video, I think. Thank you so much, guys. Always a pleasure. We will see you guys soon. Hala Madrid and Kian Sobani signing off. Peace out.